Hello. So I want to share with you two tools that you could use to help get to know your students better, to help personalize instruction for them. So one of the tools is right here, a personalized learning profile that I created in Google Docs. And essentially what it is it's the ability to look at how they access things through their strengths and how they access things through their weaknesses, how they engage, and how they need things represented. So this particular section right down here, you'll notice that it says two things that'll make it easier for you to learn. Okay, so that could be maybe hands-on activities. It could be listening to audiobooks, whatever the student feels that could help them make it easier for them to actually learn. And then right over here, here are some challenges. What are some things that make it challenging for students to learn? The engagement section is the next section right here, which looks at the emotional piece of learning. So, what makes it fun? What makes it not very fun and enjoyable? Then you have the expression part. So, it talks about what are some ways that you like to share what you've learned. It might be doing something, might be making a presentation. And then over here, what are some things that you do not like to present? Now, the thing is when you're looking at the strengths and challenges, you want to stretch your students. Obviously, you want to have some challenging activities for them. So if they're not necessarily a presentation type of person, you want to provide them opportunities to make presentations, but you may have to think about ways of maybe scaffolding instruction. Maybe instead of making a large group presentation, maybe look for ways that they can practice by making small group presentations, which will then prepare them for a large group situation. And then this particular document right here is ways that they would describe themselves and maybe two of their interests and hobbies. This is just a very basic way of getting to know students. So right here is an article by McClaskey and Bray that talks a little bit more about that. Another tool that I've used before is a SWOT analysis, which most companies use on a regular basis, whether it's to get financial backing from a bank, whether it's to look at strategy, mission, vision. A SWOT analysis tool is a really great way of really getting a clear picture of what's going on in the company. So SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So when you look at this, strengths and weaknesses are often internal. They're things that we might not necessarily have a whole lot of control over, but they're inbred in us. They're inbred in the organization. And so right here, strengths. What are some areas of strength that you have? What are some areas of weakness or growth that you need to look at? And this often gives students an opportunity to really look at how they're doing things. In my classroom, I used to do this as a regular part of a getting to know you activity where they would go through and they would list five strengths, five weaknesses. And this would often open up some conversations with parents, with house parents, with classmates to get to know a little bit better themselves. This would actually help also with group work later down the road where they're looking at, okay, we need to put together a collaborative presentation. Who's really artistic, who's a great leader, who's a great writer, who's a great presenter, and it opened up some presentations for those students. So knowing where you're at and knowing where you have to go is a great way also of setting goals, because you want them to build on their strengths, but also capitalize on learning more about their weaknesses and how to overcome some of them as well. So opportunities and threats are often external things that they might not necessarily have a whole lot of control over, but it's good to know. Opportunities might be, I have the opportunity to go to college. I have the opportunity to play sports. I have the opportunity to be in this class. I have an opportunity to participate in band. Opportunities are really good things that are going to help them grow down in the future. And then threats, what are some things that are going to possibly get in the way of progress or growth? It could be a situation that might be going on at home, could be maybe a personal struggle that they have. This is just a great tool for you to communicate with your students what exactly is going on in their lives. And then finally, another tool that you might want to use is a Google form, simple Google form with questions about your students. Getting to know your students helps you personalize learning to make it more beneficial and engaging for students. And these are two great tools to look at that.